Hi everybody, this is Pam with Jesus Junk Journals, and today we're actually going to start on this Books of the Bible journal. And so I'm going to go ahead and cut my pieces out. You're going to want your introduction page. This will actually glue inside your cover, and this is going to glue on the back of your sheet that says Genesis. So that's how you're going to start. But first we need to cut these out. So I'm going to go and cut mine out, and I'm going to ink around the edges with my distress ink, and then I will be back. Okay, I just wanted to come back on here. So this journal has got a lot of cutting. I'm not going to lie to you. Yes, a lot of cutting. And so I thought I would just get on here and talk for a minute. I mean, I don't know if anybody's using scissors to cut them out. You sure could do that. And you know, a lot of times I get lazy and I get my scissors out when I should probably get my paper cutter out. Now I had a small paper cutter I was using, and I think I wore it out. I mean, I'd had it for probably 10 years, so it was time. So I got out this one. It's a Dahle. I guess I'm saying the name right. Dahle 508. It's German engineering by Dahle. So it's a really good one. And this was I think a less expensive one than, oh gosh, what's the other one? I can't think of the other brand, but regardless, I just wanted you to be aware that there's all different kinds of cutters. This one is very precise, and I noticed the first ones I cut, I still had white paper left. And when I went in and tried to trim it off with my little cheap cutter, it didn't really work very well. Well, this one, and here's the other thing, because when I print, it doesn't print squarely on the paper, because when you put your paper in your printer, you know, it can be a little bit one way or the other. So it's not ever probably going to be square to the edges. So you want to line, of course, you want to line the line up. And so you don't want to you can't really press it down on this edge because you're not going to get a straight line. So I just move it up a little bit, and then I get my line just a hair over this little plastic guard and cut it, and it's been pretty accurate. If I miss it though, and I have to go back and cut just a teeny tiny bit off, it's doing that for me really, really well. So that's great. And then I wanted to say, once you get halfway through, it starts at, let's see, number 33 and 34. Be super careful when you get to page 33 and 34, because what you're going to find is, and you may not even be able to tell it, but 33 is just a hair bigger than 34. So I've cut these out, and here, let me just, have to put the smaller one on top, see if you can even see it. But it's just like a 64th of an inch smaller all the way around, or it should be. And so on 32, where's 32 at? 31, 32, 33. You're going to attach 33, and then you're done with like the front of this big concertina or accordion journal. And now it's time to do the back side. And so what I did is I made the rest of the books just slightly smaller, a tiny bit smaller. Because what I want to do on the back side when we flip it over is glue these over it and have just a little tiny sliver of space so that it doesn't bind when you fold it up. And so if you'll notice, let me put these back so I don't get them mixed up. If you'll notice, starting on I think 33, 34, around in there, you'll begin to see this little space in the middle. And so that means now, instead of just cutting the border off, now you have to go in and cut this off and then cut this off. And that's where a cutter like this can really help, really be nice. So let me cut this just real quick. Hope everybody's having a good day and you're excited to do this. I'm excited. I haven't been this excited about a journal for a while, so okay. And I know there's not a lot of, it's not fancy. There's nothing tricky about it. It's very straightforward, very plain. But I guess I just like the subject matter. Now here's where I'm saying there's this little bitty line in the middle. So I'm going to line it up very carefully so that it just, and for me, I'd rather cut off too much than not enough. I mean, assuming it's just a little bit. So I'm going to cut it right there. And see, I did it without getting the white edge. And so now you'll see I've just got that little tiny white edge. And so this cutter, if I do it right, will cut that for me. And I'm going to just get it over a little bit, see if I can get it to, so see it cuts that little bitty piece and gives me a nice edge. So I'm sure there's other cutters out there that will do that, but I just wanted to point that out to you. If you haven't gotten a cutter, or you wonder if you want one, or what good is it? For me, I was sitting there with a pair of scissors trying to do one, and it was not easy. So anyway, just wanted to get on there and point that out, and then I'll come back here in just a little bit. We'll talk about putting this thing together. Okay, I got everything cut out. And I would say it took me, I don't know, 30 minutes, 30, 40 minutes with my cutter. Now I need to score the ones that are double pages. So I'm going to get my scoreboard out and get this out of the way. I mean, they're going to fold. I'm not sure which direction they're going to fold yet until I get going, but you've got your introduction page. Let's see, I want to get a line here that I've marked. Okay, and then after I've got them scored, I can ink then that edge on all of them. So just do one more here, and then I will not make you watch me do all of these. I will do it off camera and come back, but that way I can ink all 4 edges of that. Okay, so I'm going to do that and then I'll be back. Okay, I've got everything inked. I went back and made sure I had them in order because as you go, if you get going, you don't want to get going so fast that you don't double check that you're putting them in the right order. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a folding bone or a bone folder, however you want to call it. You've seen these. It's to smash down scoring lines and folds. And so you want this to lie as flat as possible. So I'm going to go back over these with a folding bone and just make sure that they're super flat. And then something else we're going to have to watch for is you can never get them perfectly square when you fold them. And so I've noticed as I'm inked that they're just slightly off, and probably every one of them is just slightly off. And see how there's white there? So we want to be careful when we fold this and put it together that it doesn't get wonky, or it's going to get wonky, but it doesn't get, you need to bring it back from its wonkiness, so to speak, so that it doesn't go off in a certain direction. So I'm going to go ahead and do these. All right, so see how much, well, maybe you can see how much flatter those are now. Okay, so we're going to start with Genesis. Now here's the index. We're going to make a cover, but not right now. And this cover, this index will glue inside the front cover of the journal. And now this flap is going to glue And we're actually going to fold these back. I had a feeling that was going to be the case. So we're going to glue this like this, because this is what we're going to attach. This is glued into the cover, and then this will be the first page that comes up from it. So what I'm going to do is put my glue along the edges, and you know I brag on this glue because the tip of it is not fussy like the art glitter glue, but what happens is I let my glue build up in the tip of it and dry, and then it kind of does the same thing the other glue does. But what I've found out is that if I use a needle and just kind of open it up, it narrows the channel of glue down, so I still get a very small bead of glue most times. And so it acts sort of like those metal tips on your art glitter glue, or that smaller nozzle on the Barely art glue. So basically, so you're not wasting your glue. And so it's sort of a self-made tip, but by letting my glue dry like that. So that's my excuse anyway. So I'm going to glue this on here, and I just butted that up against the fold line. And so this is actually going to fold back this way. Like that. So this is glued inside the front cover of your book. Here's the first page. And here's the second page. And then you're going to take page 3, and again, fold it back. And then we're going to start to join these. And so what we're going to do is actually flip these over. And I'm going to use masking tape, but you can use, if you would like something more sturdy, you can use Tyvek. It's very strong. And you could cut strips of it and glue it to make your seams. So it's just up to you, but I'm going to use masking tape. I think it'll be fine. We'll find out. But what we're going to do is we're going to begin to butt these up from the back and glue and attach them to each other with masking tape. So I'm going to put some glue, and I want to get glue right on the edge for sure. And then a little bit over on the edge. I mean on the outside. And I'm just going to glue it like that. And if it sticks out over the edges, I can cut it off with scissors. And so that gives me this hinge. Like that. I'm just going to keep going and check your numbers. Make sure you're going like 3, 4, 5, 6. And we're just going to go ahead and keep going until we've got all of our numbers glued of these double panels. And what I want to do is I'm going to glue a few of them, and then I want to double check and make sure that these aren't going crooked. I don't think they will, but I just got to double check. So I've got glue right on the edges so that when you fold them back, they don't leave any kind of gap, hopefully. Okay, so I'm going to take a pair of scissors and trim these off and just take a look at this and how it lays. Okay, so here's this, and then it lays like this, and you're going to zigzag it to get your accordion. And then just make sure it's all pretty square, that it doesn't take off in any certain direction. And I think it's going to be fine. So, all right, I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of my double folded pages, and then I'll be back. I am back to show you my progress and tell you what I've had happen here. So I've got all of them taped together. You can see here. The last couple ones I had a little trouble with for some reason, so I used a little washi tape to hold them in place, and then I went ahead and finished with my masking tape. But this is what it looks like. But here's what happened. Notice this shifting to the one side. And it started doing that right away. And so what I did about probably that far up is I forced it to lay the way I wanted it to, and then I took my folding bone and went over it and kind of manhandled it. I haven't done it yet with these. See how much they shift. So what I did, and honestly, I don't know why it's doing that. Something to do with the taping of this, I'm sure, but these are all the folded sides. These are all the taped sides. So what I did is I just shifted it over so that it was straight and held it. And same thing on this side. Just pushed it over so it's straight. And then you can see that now these don't want to. Again, this will be glued into your cover of your book, of your journal. And then here will be your pages. And now we're getting ready to put number 33 on. And remember, I told you 33 and 34 are just slightly different sizes. And 34 is just a hair smaller, and all the rest of these are just a hair smaller than the ones that we've just folded. And for the purpose of what we're going to do now, well, let me attach 33 and then I'll show you. So just bear with me. So I'm going to continue what I've been doing. Here's 33, and I'm going to line those up, and I'm just going to go ahead and, it takes longer to do this, and I'm impatient, so I don't do this on every one, but it helped at the end to just take a little piece of washi tape and tape it in place. And this washi tape is super thin, so I think it'll be fine. It's not going to make any difference. And this is also washi tape that I don't use, so it's just surplus. And just kind of hold it together so that now I can go back with my glue and do this. And then get my masking tape. And tape it, and then everything's going to be butted perfectly together. And I'm just going to wipe the glue off there so I don't glue my pages together. And then what I have to do when I get done with that, make sure it's dry so I don't stick them together, is lift it up and trim off whatever excess tape is there. So this has a little bit of tape sticking out. So I just cut it off and it's good to go. So now we're turning the corner. We're doing the back side. So let me get this smoothed out. So now we're going to start on the back side. And so what you can do, and there's a couple ways you can do it, of course, is if you want to turn it into a journal where you put things, make these into pockets. And so you're going to want to glue this back side on 3 sides, and then we will have a pocket from the top. And that way, of course, each pocket will share 2 books of the Bible, but you could put scriptures from either of those books in there and store things if you want to. If you have a problem with wanting, like if you want a separate pocket for Nahum and a separate pocket for Micah, then all you'd need to do is glue an inside piece of paper like a pocket, and then glue this on it like a pocket, and then you would actually have 2 pockets. So you could do that if you wanted to. I'm not going to do that. Now here's the thing. Let me lay this on here. I made these. I was really debating about how much smaller to make these. So they're just slightly smaller. I did that so that it wouldn't bind up, but I'm not sure that I got them small enough. So I figured it was better to have them too big than not big enough, because you can always trim them down. So I'm going to go ahead and, all right, enough talk. I'm just going to do it. I'm going to put the 3 sides of glue. This is why I don't film the whole thing, because I sit here and talk to myself and go, well, should I do this or should I do this? And I'm sure it's like watching paint dry, so I don't tape the whole process. Hope that's okay with you. Probably, yes, you're probably like, thank you. Okay, so I'm going to glue that down. And so here we go. Oh, got to make sure that glue sticks before I get carried away with myself here. Okay, and so you can see there's just a little bit of an edge because it is smaller. And so my thinking is we can just go in with our distress ink and distress it, and it won't show at all. It'll look just like all of our other junk journals where things just aren't perfect. If it bothers you, you could also put washi tape, little thin line of washi tape along it and on these edges. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and try this and see how it looks, but I think I'm going to be okay with just using my ink. And so now, here's my pocket. And then when I get all done, I'll take my circle punch, and just punch a little, just a little, because I don't want to interrupt any of the design. So, like, I'm going to eyeball it and just barely clip that off. And then again, with the distress ink, just touch that up on both sides. And there you go. A place to put your ephemera. And then down here, I'll just put some ink. And if I don't have a flash there. Let's see about the other side. A little bit of one, so. Okay, I'm back because it occurred to me that there's a smarter way to do this as far as inking, if you want to ink it. Instead of waiting till you're all glued up and inking it, it would be smarter to go through and fold this and ink it before you glue anything to it. It's just a lot, it'll be a lot less messy on your artwork if you already have it inked. So I'm going to take the time to do that. And even on these ones with the masking tape, I'm going to go ahead and ink that. So that would be the next step then, if you want to do it that way, is to ink and then glue on your pockets. So anyway, I just wanted to let you know that. You probably already thought of that, but anyway, that's what I'm going to do now. So now we're going to go back and we're going to glue all the back side with these pockets. I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I will come back at the end. Okay, I just glued the last one on, and that was Revelation, of course, and that went on that panel where we had glued this panel. There was like a glued panel on it, so we just covered it up with this Revelation panel. So now I'm going to fold it up and turn it over and see what we have. Okay, so this is what it looks like. And again, we will glue it in. Actually, I think I have to zigzag this all back the other way. But we're going to glue this in a cover here in a minute. And then, let's see. See if this works. Okay, let's see what happens here. See if the rest of them want to lay down flat. Well, that one wants to hang up a little bit too. Okay, let me keep going. Okay. Okay, so let's see what happens if I make it go the way I want it to go here. I'm going to just press it down. And I'm getting a few pages that are kind of wavy here. And I think that, let's see what happens. I'm just going to keep pressing it down, see what happens here. I think it'll be okay. Even if it is a slight bit of bowing in those pages, I think it'll still be okay. Okay, so that's the way it will be in the book. You'll glue this into your cover, and then you can, of course, look at it like this. All your pages. I don't see any edges that are peeling up or doing anything weird. And then you can turn it over and do the other way and look at those pages. And I inked all the cracks and crevices so they kind of don't show. Then of course the other thing you can do is, because it's the accordion, is you can pull it open out like this. So now we have to think about the cover. And I wanted to put this together so I knew how wide to make the spine. Now, if you add things to this and put cards in it and all that, it's going to be a lot wider. You know, instead of compressing it, making a little thin spine, you're going to want to allow some breathing room. And so, you know, with a regular journal, I mean, I think they're usually, mine are at least 2 inches. So, I might do, what happens if I do a 3-inch spine? Just because this is a lot of places that you want to put stuff. I mean, in theory, you could do a 6-inch one probably. But then it would be, it wouldn't work as smoothly. So let's see. If I do 3 inches. Okay, I'm going to do a 3-inch spine. So you're going to have a 3-inch spine. So 3 inches. And then your cover, get a ruler. You're going to want it to stick up above and below just a little bit. And these pages are 8 inches. And so if you add a half an inch on each end, because you might want to put, who knows, you might want to put a paper clip or something like that in the top with something that sticks up. I think that would be okay. So that would make it 9 inches. Long. And then you want your front cover and then you want it to, there's really, on this particular journal, there probably won't be anything sticking out. So you can really just have it, and it'll be flat here to the back. And so it's about 5 1/4. So if you add a 1/2 inch, you really don't even need that. I think that'll work. I'm going to do 5 1/2. I usually make mine thicker than that, but I also have a lot of stuff hanging out on edges usually. So 5 1/2 by 9, and then 3 inches by 9. And of course you need 2 pieces like this. And so I'm going to cut, I'm going to go get my cardboard, get my little cereal boxes out. And I tell you what, I'm going to stop on this video, and I'll come back on the next video and we will do the cover. Okay, so thank you for watching me. I hope you're getting this and making 1, making 5, making 10. I think this is an awesome witnessing tool. Give it to your kids or people, anybody. And what I think is, because there's not a lot of explanation on these, they're going to look at these pictures and they're going to go, what in the world is this? And hopefully it will, you know, intrigue them, and they'll want to read that book of the Bible and find out what is that picture from. And with the scriptures, hopefully the same kind of thing, that they'll read the scripture and they will want to know more about that book. So, and then of course you can put your own scriptures that you like from each book in there, and that'll cause them to be even more interested. Anyway, that's that, and I will leave you now, and I'll come back on the next video and we'll do the cover. Thanks. Bye-bye.